Hello and welcome to the Mastermind semi-finals with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Helen Lippell, a taxonomy consultant whose specialist subject is British Prime Ministers of the 18th century. Paul Judge, an airline pilot, will be answering questions on the rock band The Stranglers from 1974 to 1990. Ben Jones, a student, his subject is the American poet Elizabeth Bishop. And Peter Wilson, a planning officer, his subject, Oscar-winning animated feature films. Our contenders have dreamt of this day, the chance to compete for a place in the Mastermind Grand Final. All that's standing in their way are rapid-fire questions, the glare of the spotlight, and, of course, the black chair. Off in the distance, their goal is in sight, but there can only be one winner. After 2 minutes on a specialist subject and 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Conquer the sheer terror of it all, and you will win. We wish them well. So, can I ask our first semi-final contender to join us, please? Your name?
Helen Lippell.
Your occupation?
Taxonomy consultant.
And your specialist subject?
British Prime Ministers of the 18th century.
Premierships of the 14 men conventionally regarded as having held the office of Prime Minister of Great Britain before 1800. In 2 minutes, let's go. Although his tenure as Prime Minister is often dated from 1721, Sir Robert Walpole arguably only established his primacy following the resignation in 1730 of which peer as Secretary of State for the Northern Department?
Charles Townshend?
Yes. Which Act of Parliament, introduced by George Grenville in 1765, levied taxes in America on a wide range of documents and led to massive protests?
Stamp Act?
Yes. Pitt the Elder chose not to become First Lord of the Treasury when he formed an administration in 1766, but instead accepted a peerage, and which office?
Lord Privy Seal?
Yes, the Duke of Portland's first ministry ended in December 1783, after the government was defeated on a bill to reform which organisation?
The East India Company?
Yes, between 1769 and 1772, which London newspaper published a series of letters penned under the pseudonym Junius, attacking the ministries of the Duke of Grafton and Lord North?
The Public Advertiser?
Yes, although Pitt the Younger went on to serve almost 20 years in office, his first government was initially given what nickname, because it wasn't expected to last beyond Christmas, 1783?
Mince pie government?
Yes. In 1780, Lord North offered to resign after the House of Commons passed a motion stating that the influence of the Crown has increased, is increasing, and ought to be diminished, that had been proposed by which MP?
John Dunning?
Yes, the first step on the Earl of Bute's route to the premiership was his appointment to which role in the household of the future King George III in 1756?
Room of the Stole?
Yes. In an unsuccessful attempt to preserve his administration, the Duke of Newcastle convened a court-martial of Admiral John Byng after the loss of which island to the French?
Minorca?
Yes, unlike his predecessor Walpole, the Earl of Wilmington did not serve as Chancellor of the Exchequer as well as Prime Minister, because George II gave that role to which other politician?
Samuel Sandys?
Yes. What was the title of the weekly publication founded by the radical journalist and MP John Wilkes in June 1762, which attacked the Earl of Bute and the supposed Scottish takeover of government?
The North Briton?
It was the North Briton. Helen, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 11 points. And our next contender, please. Your name?
Paul Judge.
Your occupation?
Airline pilot.
And your specialist subject?
The Stranglers from 1974 to 1990.
The pioneering rock band from their formation in Guildford in 1974 to the departure of founder member Hugh Cornwell. In 2 minutes, let's go. The Stranglers formed while living together above an off-licence run by their drummer, Jet Black, and initially travelled to gigs in a vehicle originally used for what commercial purpose?
Ice cream sales.
Yes. Which song, one of the band's earliest collaborations, was originally recorded in demo form around 1974, but did not become a UK hit single until 1982, when it reached number 7 in the chart?
Strange Little Girl.
Yes, which artist and graphic designer created the Stranglers' distinctive red logo, described by Hugh Cornwell as depicting a heavy name in Walt Disney writing?
Kevin Sparrow.
Yes, the Stranglers walked off stage during a recording for what BBC television series in 1978, protesting that tickets for the show at the university in Guildford had not been available to the general public.
Rock Goes to College.
Yes, what was the macabre original title of the band's first studio album, which was eventually released in 1977 as The Stranglers 4 Rattus Norvegicus?
Dead on Arrival.
Yes, the band was dropped by what record label that distributed their material in America after they sent the company a rude telex message in 1978 following various disagreements?
A&M Records.
Yes, in 1979, the BBC declined to play a video featuring the band dressed as choir boys in a church, which was shot to promote which UK hit single?
Duchess.
Yes, what was the name of the reporter who interviewed the Stranglers for Mike Willesey's Australian television show Willesey at 7 in 1979, after which the band were rejected by other media outlets because of their provocative answers?
Willesey.
No, Howard Gibbs. In 1979, the Stranglers made their first studio album outside the UK when they chose which EMI studio in Paris for The Raven?
Pathé Marconi.
Yes, which track on Rattus Norvegicus is reportedly based on a prediction by Nostradamus and features the lyrics, "I will return someday so you can hear me say farewell."
Goodbye, Toulouse.
Yes, what's the surname of the Bristol-based brothers who made the guitars that were largely responsible for the band's new acoustic sound on the 1983 album Feline?
Kincaid.
It was Kincaid. So, Paul, you had no passes at the end of that round. You've got 10 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name.
Ben Jones.
Your occupation.
Student.
And your specialist subject.
Elizabeth Bishop.
The Pulitzer Prize-winning poet and short story writer born in Massachusetts in 1911. In 2 minutes, let's go. When Elizabeth Bishop was 3 years old, she witnessed the disastrous Great Salem Fire, an event she commemorated in which posthumously published poem?
A drunkard.
Yes, both the autobiographical story, The Country Mouse, and the poem, In the Waiting Room, include a scene in which Bishop accompanies her aunt to a dentist's appointment where she flicks through what magazine?
National Geographic.
Yes, Bishop's first published poem, The Call, appeared in a newsletter issued by which private sailing camp for girls where Bishop spent 6 summers starting in 1924?
Camp Chequesset.
Yes. What's the title of the short-lived literary magazine that Bishop co-founded together with fellow students at Vassar College as a rival to the established Vassar Review, which had repeatedly rejected their work?
Conspirator.
Yes, Bishop's first book of poems, North and South, was published in 1946 after she'd won a competition held by which publisher?
Scribners.
No, Houghton Mifflin. Which of Bishop's poems did her close friend and fellow poet Robert Lowell rate so highly that he kept a copy in his wallet so that he could occasionally amaze people with it?
The Armadillo.
Yes, Bishop spent many years in Brazil, most of them living in the homes of her then-partner, the architect Lota de Macedo Soares. But she also bought her own house, which she gave what name in honor of a fellow poet and early mentor?
Casa Mariana.
Yes, Bishop once listed the 3 qualities I admire in the poetry I like best as accuracy, spontaneity, and what other quality?
Formality.
No, mystery. In which of her poems does Bishop rhyme extraordinary geraniums with assorted linoleums?
The Garden.
No, A Summer's Dream. What title did the American composer Elliott Carter give to his cycle of songs for soprano and chamber orchestra, which premiered in New York in February 1976 and used some of Bishop's poems for the lyrics?
The Sight of the Empty Mirror.
No, A Mirror on Which to Dwell. For some years following her death in 1979, Bishop's gravestone remained unmarked because her partner, Alice Methfessel, felt that what 3 words that Bishop had requested to appear on it were too stark.
Awful but cheerful.
Yes, awful but cheerful. So, Ben, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 7 points.
Thank you.
And our final contender, please. Your name.
Peter Wilson.
Your occupation.
Planning officer.
And your specialist subjects.
Oscar-winning animated feature films.
The recipients of the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film, which was first introduced as a category in 2002. In 2 minutes, Let's go. What real-life desert is the main location in Rango, a film about a chameleon who becomes the sheriff of the water-starved fictional town of Dirt?
The Mojave Desert.
Yes, in the 2016 film Zootropolis. What's the surname of the young recruit, Judy, who fulfills her childhood dream of becoming the first rabbit police officer in the city?
Hops.
Yes, in Wall-E. What musical film does the eponymous waste-collecting robot repeatedly watch on an old videotape in his junk-filled home?
Hello, Dolly.
Yes, in Brave, during the presentation of suitors to marry the spirited Princess Merida, a brawl breaks out between three rival Scottish clans, the Macintoshes, the MacGuffins, and which other?
Dingwalls.
Yes, in Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were Rabbit. What's the title of the book on the shelf, which the dieting Wallace pushes to access his secret cheese supply, only to get his fingers caught in a mousetrap set by Gromit?
Great Expectations.
Yes, what's the name of the retirement village in Up, which the elderly widower Carl is told he has to move into, prompting him to attach balloons to his house to fly away?
Shady Oaks.
Yes, in Coco, when the young Mexican boy Miguel first discovers that the land of the dead is a real place, he says to his ancestors that he thought it might have been one of those made-up things that adults tell kids, like what?
Vitamins.
Yes, in The Incredibles, what's the name of the company where Mr. Incredible works for the ill-tempered Gilbert Huff?
Insuricare.
Yes, at the beginning of Soul, the music teacher and jazz pianist Joe is invited by a former pupil to audition for the Dorothea Williams Quartet at what nightclub?
The Half Note.
Yes, in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, featuring various iterations of the eponymous hero and his alter egos, the second Peter Parker has invested in an unsuccessful restaurant with what name?
TGI Spideys.
Yes, in Frozen, when the elderly Duke of Wesselton is trying to impress Princess Anna with his sprightly dance moves, he tells her that people don't call him the little what for nothing.
Dipper.
Yes, in Inside Out, when the mind workers... I've started, so I'll finish. In Inside Out, when the mind workers inside Riley's brain are erasing memories that she doesn't care about, they want to get rid of 4 years' worth of piano lessons, keeping only Heart and Soul and which other musical piece?
Chopsticks.
It is Chopsticks. So, Peter, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 12 points.
Thank you.
At the end of the specialist subjects round in this semi-final, let's have a look at the scores. In fourth place with 7 points, it's Ben. In third place with 10 points, it's Paul. In second place with 11 points sits Helen. And in first place with 12 points, it's Peter. So now, the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Ben to join us again, please. Ben, you start with 7 points. You've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. The tusks of elephants are formed from what hard white substance consisting mainly of dentine?
Ivory.
Yes, the Arabic word shahada, usually translated as testimony or witnessing, refers to the declaration of faith professed by followers of what major religion?
Islam.
Yes, the word channel, a slang term for a transport link between England and France, is a blend of what two-word name?
Channel Tunnel.
Yes, Benjamin Britten's War Requiem was commissioned for the consecration of which city's new cathedral, where it received its world premiere in 1962?
Coventry.
Yes, what's the name of the fashion designer, known for her baggy T-shirts bearing slogans in large block letters, such as the one worn by George Michael in the video for the Wham single, Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go?
Hammett.
Yes, Catherine Hamnet, at an elevation of almost 20,000 feet. Mount Logan is the highest peak in which Commonwealth country?
Canada.
Yes, what was the name of the Scottish pacifist, journalist and trade unionist who was the first parliamentary leader of the Labour Party?
Dewar.
No, Keir Hardie. Paul Mescal was nominated for an Oscar for his performance as Callum, a young father on holiday with his 11-year-old daughter in Turkey. In what 2022 film?
Normal People.
No, After Sun. What name, the Latin for three-headed, is given to any muscle with 3 points of origin, particularly the one at the back of the upper arm?
Triceps.
Yes, in 1935, which British tennis player completed what's now known as a career Grand Slam by winning each of the 4 major singles championships?
Virginia Wade.
No, Fred Perry. On a standard dartboard, what number is positioned at the bottom directly opposite the 20?
3.
Yes, the 2023 television series The Gold, starring Hugh Bonneville and Dominic Cooper, is a dramatisation of the true story of a robbery in 1983 of which American company's warehouse near Heathrow Airport?
Burton's Inn.
No, Brink's Mat. The word brock, of Celtic origin, is an antiquated name for what omnivorous mammal native to the British Isles?
Badger.
Yes, which Mercury Prize-nominated British rapper topped the UK albums chart with Big Conspiracy in 2020 and Beautiful and Brutal Yard in 2023?
Dave.
No, Jay Huz. After Alaska, which US state is the next largest in terms of area?
Texas.
Yes, what name is shared by a type of underground fungus prized as a delicacy and a soft, ball-shaped chocolate sweet, often dusted with cocoa powder?
Praline.
No, truffle. In Greek mythology, which hero, the son of King Aegeus of Athens, was imprisoned in the underworld with his friend Pirithous until rescued by Heracles?
Theseus.
Yes, it's Theseus. So, Ben, you had no passes, which means at the end of that round, you've got 18 points.
Been a pleasure.
Next up is Paul. Paul, you start with 10 points. The score to beat as it stands is 18 points, and you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. What word for a handheld electrical appliance used to remove creases from clothes is also the name of a metallic element?
Iron.
Yes, the career of which Australian-born media tycoon began in the early 1950s when he inherited a daily newspaper based in Adelaide entitled The News.
Rupert Murdoch.
Yes, the Missouri is the major tributary of which North American river?
Mississippi.
Yes, the Irish-trained colt who won the 2023 Epsom Derby is named after which French sculptor?
Rodin.
Yes, which American actress won a Best Supporting Actress Oscar for her portrayal of Alicia Nash, the wife of the Nobel Prize-winning mathematician John Nash, in the 2001 film A Beautiful Mind?
Kate Blanchett.
No, Jennifer Connelly. Which European country has the international vehicle registration code E?
Spain.
Yes, which singer, who had a UK hit single in 2022 entitled Lift Me Up, had previously topped the chart with the songs Take a Bow in 2008 and Only Girl in the World in 2010?
Rihanna.
Yes, what was the first name of Henry Ford and his wife Clara's only child, who was president of the Ford Motor Company from 1919 until his death in 1943?
Edsel.
Yes, the ancient board game, sometimes called Mill or Merrills, which was known to the Romans and is mentioned in Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, is best known as Nine Men's what?
Morris.
Yes, from 1964 until 1984, the regular introduction to a popular children's television show was, it's Friday, it's 5 to 5, it's what?
Crackerjack.
Yes, which American photographer, who died in 1976, created the image Le Violon d'Ingres, which was sold at auction in 2022 for $12.4 million, a record for a photograph?
Mapplethorpe.
No, Man Ray, the name of which British dog breed noted for its long, shaggy fur is often abbreviated to the letters OES.
Old English Sheepdog.
Yes, in Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. What's the name of the one-legged pirate cook on the Hispaniola?
Long John Silver.
Yes, the traditional Scottish song, whose lyrics refer to taking the high road and the low road, is known as the Bonny Banks of which body of water?
Loch Ness.
No, Loch Lomond. What name after its British inventor is given to a type of portable signalling lamp that was used in the Second World War to transmit Morse code?
Davy.
No, oldest lamp. In September 2022, Chris Heaton Harris was appointed as Secretary of State for which of the home nations of the UK?
Northern Ireland.
It was Northern Ireland. So, Paul, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 22 points.
Thank you.
Next up, it's Helen. Helen, you start with 11 points. The score to beat as it stands is 22 points, and you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. What canine-sounding name is given to a snack food consisting of a sausage in a long bun, often topped with condiments such as mustard?
Hot dog.
Yes, which special administrative region of China is served by an international airport on Cheklapkok Island?
Hong Kong.
Yeah, Sharon Stone was nominated for a Best Actress Oscar for her role as Ginger McKenna, who marries a Las Vegas mobster played by Robert De Niro in what 1995 Martin Scorsese film?
Basic Instinct.
No, Casino. In May 2023, which English Premier League football club appointed Mauricio Pochettino as their new head coach?
Chelsea.
Yes, in the titles of the movements of the orchestral suite, The Planets by Gustav Holst, which planet is referred to as the Mystic?
Neptune.
Yes. The Bank of England £10 note, which ceased to be legal tender in 2003, featured on its reverse a portrait of which 19th century novelist?
Jane Austen.
No, Charles Dickens. Which American singer, who died in 2023, had a UK #1 single in 1955 with Stranger in Paradise?
Frank Sinatra.
No, Tony Bennett. The autobiographical books The Sound of Laughter and Saturday Night Peter were written by a British comedian with what surname?
Kay.
Yes, the Paimio chair, whose seat is made of a single piece of bent plywood, was created in the 1930s to aid recovery for tuberculosis patients by which Finnish architect and designer?
Alto.
Yes, the 2023 television documentary series Earth, about the 4.5 billion year history of our planet, was presented by which broadcaster and naturalist?
Chris Packham.
Yes, in a flowering plant. What name is given to the double-lobed tip of the stamen that carries the pollen sacs?
Anther.
Yes, in the abbreviation CMYK, for the 4 colours of ink used in most colour printers, the letter Y stands for what colour?
Yellow.
Yes, which London theatre shares its name with that of a statue in Greek mythology, whose presence in Troy was said to guarantee the safety of the city?
Apollo.
No, palladium. What word from the Latin for shaded or darkened is the direct opposite of transparent and describes an object that does not allow light to pass through it?
Opaque.
Yes, at the Battle of Cape Matapan in March 1941, a British force effectively destroyed the fleet of which European country?
Italy.
Yes, Emmanuel, Fitzwilliam and Sydney Sussex are the names of colleges at which English university?
Cambridge.
Yes, what biblical name for Satan is derived from a Hebrew word often translated as Lord of Flies?
Beelzebub.
It was Beelzebub. Helen, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've got 24 points. And finally, let's have Peter again, please. So, Peter, you start with 12 points, the score to beat to get through to the Mastermind Grand Final. Is Helen's 24 points? And you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Let's go. In a reference to a biblical giant, a situation in which a small person or organization tries to defeat a larger or stronger opponent is described as David versus whom?
Goliath.
Yes, the shopping centres Buchanan Galleries and the St. Enoch Centre are in which British city?
Glasgow.
Yes, in 1963, which American civil rights leader, while imprisoned in Alabama, wrote an open letter defending his actions that has become known as the Letter from Birmingham Jail?
Martin Luther King.
Yes, what's the name of the charades-inspired board game created by Rob Angel and launched in 1985, in which players aim to identify words based on their teammates' drawings?
Oh, pictogram?
No, Pictionary. On a French restaurant menu, the word veau refers to what meat?
Beef.
No, veal. Which American composer twice won the Pulitzer Prize in Music? In 1958 for his opera, Vanessa, and again 5 years later for his piano concerto No. 1.
Glass.
No, Samuel Barber. Which fictional British intelligence officer created by John le Carré has been portrayed on screen by a number of actors, including Sir Alec Guinness and Gary Oldman?
George Smiley.
Yes, which American golfer won his first major title with a 6-shot victory in the 2023 British Open at Royal Liverpool Golf Club?
Brian Harmon.
Yes, what regal-sounding word is the term for an adult female domestic cat that hasn't been neutered?
Queen.
Yes, in 1961, at the age of 14, which British singer had her first UK No. 1 single with You Don't Know, followed by her second the same year with Walking Back to Happiness?
Pink.
No, Helen Shapiro. What name from the Greek for long-haired is given to a ball of frozen rock, gas and dust that orbits the sun and forms a tail as it heats up?
Comet.
Yes, in 1946, the Norwegian politician Trygve Lie was elected as the first Secretary General of which international organization?
NATO.
No, the United Nations. The term redox, used in chemistry to refer to a type of reaction that involves the transfer of electrons, is a portmanteau of oxidation. And what other word?
Dehydration.
No, reduction. Which future Oscar-winning actor won an Emmy Award in 2016 for his role as a cybersecurity engineer and computer hacker in the American television drama series Mr. Robot?
John Smith.
No, Rabi Malek. The underground leisure activity, sometimes called caving or in North America, spelunking, is more commonly known by what name?
Spelunking. Splunking.
No, potholing. Two paintings of the early 17th century, one by Caravaggio. I'll start this off finish. Two paintings of the early 17th century, one by Caravaggio and the other by Guercino, depict which apostle touching the crucifixion wounds of Christ?
Thomas.
Yes, it's Thomas. Peter, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you have a total of 20 points.
Thank you.
And what a high-scoring game. Let's look at the final tallies. In fourth place with 18 points, it's Ben. In third place with 20 points, it's Peter. In second place with 22 points, it's Paul. So, in first place with 24 points, it's Helen. And she goes through to the grand final. Congratulations to her. If you'd like to be a contender in the next series, please go to our website at bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
So I'm not quite sure what I'm feeling right now. I can't believe it's really happening.
And at the end of that round, you've got 11 points.
So at the halfway point, I was 1 point behind Peter, and I was thinking, well, I've just got to give it a go. I can't be counting on my fingers. I've just got to try and get the next answer, and if that doesn't work, move on to the next thing. Just keep it moving. Yellow.
Yes.
Opaque.
Yes.
Italy.
Yes.
When Clive read out the scores, I still don't quite compute that that was my score, and that was more than the other people. So I really can't quite believe it right now.
So, in first place with 24 points, it's Helen, and she goes through to the grand final. Congratulations to her.
So Mastermind was the first quiz programme that I ever remember watching as a little girl, and I feel like I've just had decades of shouting answers from the sofa, something the family watched every single week religiously, and it was the sort of gateway to me getting into watching more quiz shows and then taking part. So to be part of that sort of tradition, I'm very proud. I still don't quite believe it.